Right Honorable Raila Odinga does not understand the meaning of giving up. That vocabulary does not exist in his dictionary, neither does it exist on his mind. In fact, Raila believes in the philosophy of aluta continua. And this is the reason why, as the opponents wait day and night to hear the headlines that Raila Odinga has quit national politics, they get disappointed by the day. Yesterday, while celebrating his 79th birthday in Mombasa, Raila made it crystal clear that he is not quitting any soon. The question that very many Kenyans are asking is whether that statement would mean that Raila is still going to contest in 2027. And I want to put this question to you, especially those who voted for Raila Odinga in the last general election. If Raila contests again, perhaps in 2027, would you still vote for him? Do you still believe in his political ideologies? In this video, ladies and gentlemen, let us try and look at the reasons why Raila Odinga does not think that quitting national politics is a priority. Before we do this, if you're watching our channel for the first time, please allow me to request you to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that whenever we release a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. To all our subscribers, thank you very much. My videos are still blurred, they are not very clear. I'm looking for a nice camera, so you will bear with me kindly, and thanks for your support. Raila Molo does not want William Ruto to take the bragging right that he is the one who sent Raila to Bondo. Politically speaking, Raila is senior to William Ruto, and he has been in politics and has seen it all. From 1980s, Raila has been accused of trying to topple the Moi government in 1982 in the famous coup. Raila has worked with Moi. Raila has been detained. So he's got a wealth of experience and he understands the Kenyan politics. So for a junior politician like William Ruto to come and send Raila home, because during the last campaigns, William Ruto announced that he will cast Raila in a wheelbarrow, place him in a wheelbarrow and send him to Bondo. Those statements do not agree well with Raila and his supporters. Because if Raila would quit politics today, then it would mean that in the Ruto regime, when Ruto ascended to power, Raila quit politics, and therefore it is going to be equated to some notion that it is William Ruto who sent Raila to Bondo. So he does not want that bragging right to go to Ruto. He wants a honorable retirement, so that if he decides to quit politics, then it will be out of his own volition, not because someone compelled him to quit. And that is the reason he said he knows the way to Bondo and no one should tell him when to go to Bondo. Now, the second reason why Raila still feels it is not a priority to quit politics is the unity factor. Raila Odinga knows well that if he quits politics, right now he is the fulcrum and the center of Azimio. If Raila would quit today, then I can assure you then that Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka and people like Jeremiah Kioni would not hold, because the center would be very loose. Not only that, if he quits, then the unity in ODM politics will be shaken. Raila remembers very well when his father Jaramogi Oginga died and he left the leadership with the late Kijana Wamalwa. There was a lot of altercation and leadership wrangles, and that led to Raila forming his own party, because our parties are ethnic based. If Raila quits today, we've got two leaders. We've got Ali Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya, who are the today that would be left with the ODM party. And I can assure you that if Raila quits, and he decides to stay away from national politics, then you will see people coming up and trying to take over ODM. And you will see those who feel entitled to the ODM party trying to age out people like Ali Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya. And it will be very easy even for poachers like William Ruto, who would come and try to poach some of the members of ODM and members of Azimio. William Ruto has done it. Immediately after the general election, he went for the UDM party from Northeastern and he poached all of them. They switched their allegiance to William Ruto. So the unity factor is something that is still a bother to Raila. He is still weighing options. Should he quit, who will be a unifying factor? Because currently, if you ask me, Raila is the unifying factor both in ODM and Azimio. If he quits, maybe tell me, do you think people like James Orengo, Ali Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya would still hold together? It will not be very easy. If he does, then you've seen people who are trying, led by Eliud Owalo, who is the cabinet secretary for ICT. They are trying to jostle power with Raila in Nyanza. And Raila knows very well that it is not for the prosperity of wananchi, of the common man. They are being used by maybe the current administration. And Raila wants to put things in place before he quits. I also tend to believe that Raila believes in the reform agenda, because for his entire life, Raila has played politics that is pegged around fighting for the rights of the ordinary man and fighting to expand the democratic space. He was there during the second liberation, when people fought against one party state, when people were fighting to get a multipartism, because then KANU was the only party, and there were several draconian laws where the freedom of picketing and the freedom of gathering were curtailed. People went to jail, detention without trial. So Raila knows very well that with the current administration, they can go back. Raila has stated that they have watched William Ruto and his kind of politics. He looks like someone who can take people back to the darkest days. Ruto worked as an assistant minister in the Moi regime, and he has learned and crafted every kind of politics. And this is the reason why even today in Kenya Kwanza, William Ruto is advocating for the death of all the smaller parties so that they can form one party called the UDA. Some experts say that we don't have a Kenya Kwanza administration. We have a UDA presidency. I don't know what you think. So Raila believes that they need to keep on fighting. Among other agendas and the reform agendas that he's looking for is the reforms within IEBC, the electoral process and the electoral reforms. If you look at how the IEBC is constituted and looking at the result and on what transpired during the last election, you will agree with me that the chairman of the IEBC still wields more powers and he can manipulate and acts as a prefect within the IEBC. And one of the things that Raila wants to see put to rest is this notion that a chairman of an IEBC is more powerful than the other commissioners. At the height of IEBC talk today is the explanation whether when certain members of the IEBC disintegrate and disagrees with the result, do those results count? Because there seems to be a lacuna in the constitution. Cherera team disintegrated and disagreed with the result that was announced by Wafula Chebukati. So if you ask lawyers, they will explain to you depending on their political affiliation. Others feel that when the IEBC is divided in the middle, then the results are illegitimate. But others say that if we allow such to happen, then it will set a precedent where when someone feels disgruntled, he will simply talk to a few members of the commission to walk out, then plunge the country into constitutional quagmire. So these are reforms that Raila feels that people must sit down and iron. Take note that during the first and second liberation, reforms did not come very easily. People had to run to the streets, some paid by their blood. It was a spirited fight, and Raila still believes that he's got the wherewithal, he's got the energy to still fight for these reforms, and that is the reason why he is not going to quit any soon until he's rest assured that we've got strong reforms, a constitution that we can pass over from one generation to the other. The other reason why Raila will not quit any soon is because there are people who risked their jobs and their lives for him and for the Azimio fraternity. The Cherera team risked their job, and today they are being investigated. They are almost losing their job. Most of them have resigned except Irene Masit, who is still continuing to fight. He might not really rescue them, but by standing with them politically he will achieve, and morally he will be giving them that moral support. The Cherera team stood by him, and by standing with him, he didn't become the president. But they have cast their action, have cast aspersion into the legitimacy of Ruto presidency. Because if they hadn't come out to explain to the whole world what was happening inside Bomas, Raila would not even had the courage to go to court. One of the reasons why Raila went to court was because there was a team, 4 out of 3, who had rejected the Chebukati result and explained to people that the result was opaque and the process was not transparent. And so Raila must also stand with them. Even if they go home, they will go home knowing very well that when they needed Raila, Raila stood with them. Because when Raila needed them, they stood with Raila. So even if they are going to be sent home, Raila must stand firm with them. He continuously talks about it, and he says that instead of investigating Irene Masit and Juliana Cherera, Justus Nyang'aya, and Francis Wanderi, it is Chebukati who is supposed to be investigated and go to Hague. So by those pronouncements, he is giving the Cherera team support and is showing them that he has them in the heart. And maybe finally, Raila still draws inspiration from leaders who never quit and ascended to power. People like Joe Biden tried severally to become the president of the USA, and at some point people felt he could not make it, but he ascended. Raila feels that if you don't give up, maybe one day you will succeed, and he's waiting to see the political realignments that are going to happen. Look at the Kenya Kwanza today. They are putting a brave face, but I can assure you that there is a big rift between the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and the Chief Minister Musalia Mudavadi. You don't know what will happen next. Maybe one of them will pull out. And with these political realignments, Raila believes that he can either himself contest or hand over his support base to Kalonzo and Martha Karua or any other person who will come so that they can form an alliance and they can still win this election come 2027. You know, Raila understands that William Ruto used a lot of campaign gimmicks and he promised paradise to Kenyans. But as things look today, William Ruto is not going to fulfill those promises because at the center is the cost of living, which is very high. And you've seen shifting of goalposts blame games. There is no proper structure. Within 100 days, we've not seen anything or any signs or symptoms to believe that William Ruto will rectify the economy. Because they've always stated that they want to get back to where Mwai Kibaki left us in terms of economic demands. But that will not be seen. And if William Ruto does not work on the cost of living, then come 2027, I can assure you that things are not going to be very palatable for him. He might just be a one-term president. So these are the reasons why I believe that Raila will not quit any soon. I don't know what you think. Please share with me if you think there is any other reason that I've left out. But if you ask me from where I sit, those reasons form the basis why Raila still wants to stay in politics, either as a party leader, as a patron, or as someone who will still contest for presidency. That is my take, ladies and gentlemen.